Chiefs are back on top. Whoop the crap out of the Bears. And hey, guess what? It's Monday Night Live. We are here on RGR Football. He's Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. It's Monday Night Football, and there's a pair of games going on over here. We're going to give you the best as we hang out and walk through what's going on with the Chiefs. And was that a special performance? And what can we take away from? There's a ton of topics tonight, Dan. Hope you're having a good day. How you doing?
You know, it's a fantastic day anytime we get to talk about the Chiefs after a big win like that. They needed a kind of a get-right game for their offense. And yes, it was the Bears. And yes, it was a get-right game of sorts for their offense, regardless of who they played. So it's a great day.
I will take it. And, on reflection, I've had a couple of things pop up today that I wanted to discuss. But, guys, this is your show. Welcome to the Q&A. You put the questions in the chat. Every super chat gets an answer no matter what, and we just give you the info. You guys are driving this rabble. We're just trying to keep up, to tell you the truth. So if you want to see more from Dan, you can find it on all the outlets that he has at In Harm's Way 19 on Twitter. Certainly over at NFL 33 for us, as well as here at RGR Football. Lots going on. Where else? You have the fantasy content going now, too.
I do. I'm over at Football Guys. You guys can find all my content. Actually, pretty much every Saturday we'll be dropping a new video for 4 guys you had to start that week. And we're doing pretty good this year. I haven't hit 4 out of 4 yet, but I'm 3 out of 4 in the first 3 weeks. So I'm counting it so far as a win.
So I'm gonna grab my other laptop and drop an extra video in here because I want us to talk about this as it comes up. But what's the number one thing a day removed for you after watching this ballgame?
Man, the biggest thing for me right now is that they have to continue to get this offense off the ground. There's still been some miscommunications with some of the routes, and I think that will still continue to work itself out, but they have to keep that type of offensive mentality going. They played 45% of their snaps out of 12 personnel from the first team. 45%. Okay?
That's what you're looking for.
That is the key to success, not necessarily playing it at 45% every single week. I think you have to have it at 30. 30% of your offensive snaps have to be done out of 12 personnel to get those matchup problems, to get what they want out of their run fits, and to continue to excel. And you still didn't see any drop off from the offensive production when they were nearly at 0.5%. So all of that to say that the big thing is getting everybody consistently on the same page, so that when they're against better defenses and they're adjusting to what the Chiefs are doing, they can continue to roll offensively like they did against the Bears.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. Make it a pattern. Make it something that you can repeat consistently, and then you get the outcomes that you're looking for. That's really the name of the game. The better you get, the better you do. And folks, if you want to get on the action, you can help yourself do that very same thing. Get consistent and get where you're wanting to go over at DraftKings. They're going to help us out by giving you a code. They're going to help you out by giving you $100 instantly in bonus bets. So right now it's another football week, and DraftKings is sponsoring us. So help our sponsors out. They keep the NFL action going with great offers every single day. New customers right now, you can spend $5, bet 5, and you get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Not just the one that was last week, $200. So you throw a 5 down, and any of these matchups, you can walk away an instant winner. Those bonus bets goes right into your account. Free to use, super easy. And they aren't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers for every single game in September. So you got a little bit of time here. Football's more fun when you're in on the action. You guys know that, and I certainly know that. So download the app now and use that code RGR. It's down there underneath me. You want to use that because it helps us help them, and then they help you, and then back and forth, and it's big triangle, and everything works, especially when the Chiefs are winning. It's plus. New customers can bet just $5 to get that $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL, with that code RGR. The crown's out there. You just got to go get it. Now, if you have a gambling problem, check out 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. That makes it easy. In New York, you call 1-877-846-7369. In Connecticut, you can get help. It's available through the gambling call 888-789-7777 or go to cccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of the Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensed partner of the Golden Nugget as well in Lake Charles, Louisiana. 21 plus. Age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See sportsbook.com. sportsbook.draftkings.com. Got to make sure you get that right. /football terms for eligibility. Terms do apply. Responsible gaming resources are available there for you. Bonus bets expire 7 days after their issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions are also in application. So a lot of noodles there that you have to get through at the end. But if you want to get into the action, check out DraftKings and use our code RGR. We appreciate it. I have used it. It's a lot of fun. And quite frankly, I try not to look every 5 seconds because it gets a little addictive. But you guys know how that goes. Now, again, this is your Q&A show, so we're going to get into it despite the length of my reading there. I hope that you guys are pumped because as games go on here, we start to see a little bit more and more and more. Andy Reid had a presser today. As a presser from his office anyway. Always a little bit of details there, and you can tell that there was an edge today. I know we're going to get to that, but I want to start with SSG Minotaur. Welcome back. Hope you're doing well. We're hanging in. I think we feel pretty good, don't we?
Oh, yeah. I think everyone's feeling good right now. Chiefs are in first place in the AFC West once again, and all is right with the world.
Domination has a way to do that, right? You know, when you actually go out and lay out a team like you're supposed to, it helps. We're going to start in on the questions here, but, you know, SSG started us off hot, so you get the first question. Appreciate you, and thank you for the support, as always. Shout out to Keys for having the stream going in Discord when on my TV changed to the freaking Cardinals game. Well done, Keys. Might as well get the question. Why do you suppose we didn't see more from Justin Ross in the second half? That is a great question because they gave him a look very, very early. What was it? Third snap he was out there, if I remember correctly.
And he got a target too.
Yeah, it didn't come down with it, but I can't think that was. Oh, is that the one? I thought it went incomplete for him.
He had one.
It was 0 for 1 on targets.
Catch. I thought it was a catch. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I'll go back and check. Yeah, no receptions on one target.
Huh. Okay.
So, hey, my fault. But I don't think it was because of that play, to tell you the truth, because we did see him a couple other times. The only problem was I think there was a couple times he was a bit confused where I think it was the Kelce touchdown that he didn't run much of a route. Like he started and then I think he wasn't in the place that he was expecting he needed to be. And so he just kind of shut the route down. And so I wonder if it was just partial to the game plan and understanding what that particular package was going to call. I would have expected that he'd see more routes later in the game, but we didn't get back to that. Did you think the same thing?
Well, he saw a bit like before the first team quarterback and Travis Kelce went out. Like he was out there with them. After that, we didn't see a ton of them. Maybe that was by design. I'm not entirely sure. I did see him open on the corner route for a touchdown, but Patrick couldn't get to him. It was the one that he tried to throw to get to. He was being tackled at the time. And he tried to just get back to that was to Ross, but he got there late, and the cornerback that was drifting underneath would have been able to intercept that ball. So he was open on a corner route in the end zone a couple of different times that he had his routes, just inconsistencies with effort that I noticed, which was not the best thing to have for. We talked about it yesterday. The seventh string guy, the seventh wide receiver on the team. I mean, so that's tough to have, and maybe that was more of a sign thing. They were just like, we're going to get the guys out there that need some work that are going to play more. Maybe that's what it was. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, he's got to find ways to work himself onto the field. With a wide receiver room like this, it's kind of wide open for snaps. They're playing everybody. You can play yourself into more playing time. So it's about how he adjusts going forward.
And I know it's new for him. I'm hoping that he catches on here and he gives himself that opportunity, because let's go look at it real quick. If we do take a look, and I can zoom it in a little bit, take snaps here as the total count, and he actually did pretty well. He didn't grade out terribly well. I think that's probably because of that one round, but he played 30 snaps. They let him get in there and block some. He played more run blocking snaps than he did passing snaps. But that's okay, because I think that's also a thing that gives you a feel for the contact, gives you a feel for what you're going to get hit as, especially if you're off balance up in the air, going for a catch. I think that actually helps. So I feel that as a positive in what he's done. If we take a look at his game snaps overall, that was a huge uptick. I mean, giant. So overall, despite not getting targeted more, I feel pretty good about it. How about you?
Yeah, it's a good game. It was a good game for them to get him more involved. Like that was the idea behind this game. Honestly, they were able to get up early and often, and that's an opportunity to switch all your receivers out, get some things worked on. So at the end of the day, it's experience. Yes, he may have had some effort issues, but I'm hoping that they kind of focus on those in the meetings and the team meetings and get that worked out so that he's able to be productive when he's on the field and maybe can earn some targets down the stretch.
Yeah, I feel like that as well. Thank you, Minotaur. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
And appreciate the help. Chad, do you think the Chiefs have found their new punt returner? How confident are you?
I'm not entirely sure that he's going to stay that way right now. But again, I think yesterday's audition was a very good start. Like, that's where you want to start as a punt returner ability, especially if, Richie James, who has not been stellar as the punt returner or on the field to this point, if you can find your way into making some plays, given your offense maybe 10, 15 yards of subtracted yardage they have to travel, that is a big way to be able to put yourself in position to find that seventh wide receiver spot yours because you're a returner. So it's going to be how the next couple of games go, because Richie James is on IR. If he keeps it up, he very well can find himself as the Chiefs' new punt returner.
Yeah, and I think it's a positive sign to be able to have that depth that you can go to when you need it. Not something they've always had, especially at the kick return spots. Maybe if they'd had that last year, maybe Sky would have had a little bit more leeway, and he wouldn't have gotten as bogged down. Because there are some developments about Rasheed Rice that I think we should talk about tonight as well that are kind of a stark contrast to what we saw with Sky Moore in his rookie season. So we'll definitely get to that. Thank you for that one, Doug. And I know you have another one right here. How long do you think the NFL is going to single out the Chiefs right tackle, Jawaan Taylor? What do you think?
Well, this is the big talking point of the last probably 24 hours. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes were very blunt about the issue after the game. They were not happy about the way it was handled. And then we got more clarity from Andy Reid himself about why they did what they did in the second half. It was to put Prince Tega Wanogho and Donovan Smith in the game and ask them to line up how Jawaan Taylor had been lining up. And guess what? Zero calls on either player throughout the rest of the game. That is not good. It's not good for
little
the NFL,
trouble.
the officiating.
Now, if that's true, and I haven't heard Andy or anybody else with the team confirm that, but it does make a lot of sense because I'm going to play you guys a clip here in just a second as to what feeds into this as well, because Sean, you did get your question in, so I see I see that you had good timing, my friend. Not that one, but this one. So yeah, I have yet to see the 22, so I'm not going to say that it's 100% bogus. I got to see how it's aligned, and camera angles can be deceiving. But what I do want you guys to recognize is there are people outside of the league that are recognizing this. And whether you like him or don't like him, Dean Blandino is somebody that is definitely respected in his point of view. So let me play you his comment. We'll come back. This is from my friends over at 33rd Team. Check this out.
Lions Chiefs. I really thought we would be done talking about tackles getting lined up on the line of scrimmage, and specifically Jawaan Taylor from the Chiefs. But now we're through 3 weeks and we're still talking about Taylor. Week 1 doesn't get called. We get a lot of attention on whether he was on the line of scrimmage. Look, he wasn't, but there are a lot of tackles that aren't on the line of scrimmage. And it's up to the officials, again, to warn, and then after the warning, to flag so that the tackles can correct the issue. In week 2 against the Jaguars, Taylor gets called for 5 fouls, 1 formation, 2 false starts, and 2 offensive holding calls. And then in week 3, in the last 2 minutes of the first half against the Bears, Taylor gets called for a formation after the 2-minute warning, and then a second formation call, not being on the line of scrimmage, that takes back a Chiefs touchdown. The Chiefs sit him down for a little bit. He did come back in the game. Now, look, he was off the ball. There's no question that he was too far back. You got to break the belt line of the snapper, and he was too far back. Patrick Mahomes touched on the issue. when he said that he watches a ton of film and he doesn't think that Juwan Taylor is lined up any further back than other tackles. I can't say that Patrick Mahomes is wrong when he says he watches a ton of film and sees other tackles, because here's the deal. We had 5 illegal formation calls in week 3 so far. 3 were for different violations, maybe a receiver covering up another eligible receiver. There were only 2 illegal formations for a tackle not lining up on the line of scrimmage. And that's right. The only 2 were against our guy, Juwan Taylor. And look, you can look at a lot of film. Is this something that the league has to continue to emphasize? And it's not just one player. It's all tackles. They got to be up on the ball. We'll see. We'll see if this continues to be a
thing is what he meant. By the way, love hearing Dean say our guy, Juwan Taylor.
Yeah,
so
right.
That's kind of fun. In fact, there's a game going on now that Lane Johnson's playing in. So over my head, I'm listening for it to happen in this game as well. Yeah. But Landino makes a good point. Only 2 times was this called when they're supposed to be making a league-wide crackdown on it, right? And they're both against Juwan. So I get Andy's point. Whether he didn't experiment or not, the bottom line is they have to call this evenly across the league. And I'm going to take a look at the frames from the 22, and I'll give you the lines. I may even draw it up on Photoshop so we can see the actual parallels. But bottom line is you either need to not call this because there's at least 7 other tackles that start in this league that do it every single snap, or you need to get everybody to conform. One way or the other, it's got to be applied across the league in the same way, in my opinion.
That's the thing. It's got to be consistent. If you want players to do something, guess what? Call it on everybody equally. That's the only way you're going to get them to do what you want. But the Chiefs started out the season on the national spotlight, and everyone made a big deal about it, about Juwan Taylor not following the rules. And it appeared they wanted to make a point to him, but nobody else. When we've seen like Lane Johnson, Trent Williams, some of the biggest names in the NFL, I don't find that to be a coincidence that don't get called.
Coincidence does not exist. I'm totally with you on that one. Come on, league. Let's go. Director of officiating, let's pull it together, will you? From Ryan, what are the odds of the Chiefs being 7-1 heading into week 9 against the Dolphins? I'd have to look at the schedule again. Let me see. Do you have one off the top of your head here? I've got it.
I don't.
So here's what we got. Oh, and that's the wrong window. Let me go here. So Jets, certainly this was a bigger matchup in preseason than it is now. That's for sure. But they are still, again, it's another wounded animal scenario, right? They are still a very good defense with one of the best defensive fronts in the league. And they're not even playing Will McDonald very much. They're top draft pick at edge. So whether it's Juwan Taylor, whether it's Donovan Smith who got banged up, it doesn't look like maybe Prince Tegonago is going to be available. So we're going to have a new backup if he has to play. This is a front that can give him some trouble. Mm-hmm. That's a tough one. Minnesota looks like it doesn't have a clue what it's doing. The Broncos certainly don't. The Chargers, well, and you get the Broncos twice, I should point out.
Yeah.
And then the Chargers just lost Mike Williams. And you guys know how I feel about Quentin Johnson, so don't even start with me on that. So it feels to me more and more like, yes, there's a chance that they can run it from here to the bye, but Chargers always play them tough, even when they shouldn't on paper. If they get through the Jets without it being, a knockdown brawl out, I expect the Chiefs to win. I'm just going to tell you, you guys show up Friday for our live stream when we tell you exactly what we are predicting, but I expect to win. I just don't know if it's going to be by a whole lot.
Yeah, this is it's not I'm not going to say it's an easy schedule, but there's a lot of, I don't even know the word to describe some of the things that are happening with the teams that the Chiefs play. The Vikings have no direct. The Vikings are the kings of, we're going to play until it's time to win, and then we're going to lose. The Vikings play everyone tough. That's not going to be an easy game just to walk in and win. The offense is going to put up points. Kirk Cousins seems to figure out how to put up points until it's the very last second of the game. He just doesn't seem to have that point figured out. The Chargers they should have lost that game. They handed the Vikings the keys to the game, and then they threw an interception. They should be 0-3. The Zach Wilson is one of the worst, if not the worst, starting quarterback in the NFL, bar none. Then there's the Broncos, who just got laid 70 points on by the Miami Dolphins. There is a very realistic chance that the Chiefs are 7-1 going into that game. But let's take it one game at a time and not worry about that game before it's here.
Well, and the good thing about it, even on top of all that, is you have 3 games against AFC West foes. I mean, so you're just racking up lead over that, right? God knows the Raiders aren't going to figure it out. So I ain't too worried about the one team you're not playing in this stretch. So the Jets are obviously an AFC maybe contender. We'll see if they can pull that out. So there's an absolute chance, especially with the way that the Bengals are playing. I don't know what they're doing right at this moment, but they're still
on
zeros.
defense.
Yep, still zeros for them. But the way that they're playing, if they were to lose another game, whether it's tonight with Joe Burrow, whether it's next week or another one, like that gives you just that much more momentum. And poof, all of a sudden the Chiefs are back in the driver's seat where they belong, just as they are now in the AFC West, because nobody else can pull their heads out. And that's just the way that it goes. So I'm really comfortable with it. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you. And Steve, what observations from the Bears game that the Chiefs can use to be tougher against tougher opponents? And I'll tell you, I put one out this afternoon. My quick little 1-minute breakdown of a play just from the broadcast. And it is getting that short yardage situation something they can build on. They were successful with it. Now they got to repeat it, and then it's a tool that you can use. If you guys missed that one, I have the widescreen version tomorrow. You'll get a short on YouTube Shorts tomorrow that you can check out as well. Those seem to be popular. In fact, let me know. Do you guys prefer the films in small chunks on Shorts, or do you like the widescreen? Tell us what you like, and we'll get there. But that's what I would do. Do you have a takeaway for the tougher opponents, Dan?
I think it's continuing to generate pressure with 4. And that's something that, we've seen get better with playing different games. Chris Jones obviously helps that. But also, you generate pressure with 4 by being really good on the back end. And the Chiefs have been really good on the back end. They haven't been allowing guys to get open quickly. Whether it's Watson or Williams, I think Williams played really well yesterday. He had some really nice adjustments and really didn't seem uncomfortable in situations where the ball was over his head or around him. He was very comfortable with his speed and things like that. So they're playing very well on the back end right now, and that's allowing the defense to get after the quarterback and speed up the process. So that's kind of what it is for me, is continuing to play really good defense and get after a quarterback, take advantage of the offensive lines that you're playing when you get that opportunity, and find those ways to close. They only had 3 sacks against Justin Fields, but Justin Fields got out of at least 4 other sacks that I counted already. And I'm not all the way through the defensive film. So there's a lot going right now for the Chiefs on defense. So continuing to do that is going to allow them to play very well against tougher opponents, regardless of the offense that they play.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll take a couple questions about defense, and I want to expand on what you were just talking about. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you. Steve's one of our members. If you guys want in the Discord, the full view, or you want the behind the scenes videos, if you want the Where I'm At series from me or the rants from Dan, you can get in it by joining the memberships. You also get my game notes, which will be up tomorrow, and you guys can see directly what I'm recording as I watch and go back and use that. Little bit more well-rounded specifics that we look at every week when we watch plays. It gives you, I think, an easier way to track what we're watching when we're watching it. So give that a shot if you want to join. The Words on Fire podcast. I like that one. Words on Fire. I love seeing our defense flying around and getting better when Amenihu returns. But how worried should we be that the defense might peak too early and can't sustain it through the Super Bowl run? A crushing defense, in my opinion, is a self-sustaining wheel. A defense doesn't get off track. You might get beat here and there, but it isn't a sustaining kind of thing as it is on offense for me. So I'm very much comfortable. Dan, how do you feel?
Yeah, this is something we don't usually see a lot of. And Steve Spagnuolo is, in my opinion, the best defensive coordinator after the bye in the NFL. Their defense has done nothing but get better year after year after year. So the sustained success part is going to be all of the things that they do well now are going to be should be amplified after the bye when they know everything that they do well and they can continue to get better with adding Charles and Menahue and generating different looks for an offensive line. That's what this really comes down to for me is what are they going to bring out after the bye week? Because that's when their defense usually gets even better. So I'm really excited to see what they do in that regard.
Yeah, I agree with you. They should continue to climb up. And I think we see that on a macro scale, but we also see it across seasons as well. Christo, is our defense really this good, or is it the opponents? Can we stop the Dolphins? They are really this good, and it's the opponents.
Yeah.
It's both. And let's be real. The Dolphins had a good day out, but they beat somebody who couldn't stop nearly anybody either. So there's a bit of both. I think especially when it comes to the Tyreek aspect, the Chiefs know how to handle Tyreek after all those years, So I think you're going to see some specialty things that will be there in place to corral him a little bit more. That said,
I'm with you.
Do you think it needs to go that far, though? Do they have to have a specific game plan for the Dolphins?
I don't know if you'll see a specific game plan for them. I think that they're going to have a lot of what Bill Belichick does with Tyreek Hill. They've seen what Bill Belichick does every single the years that he played in Kansas City, and typically it controls the game. The big problem with playing the Dolphins is they generate space, all kinds of space in your defense, in the ways that they move the offensive line, the way they move their weapons around, and the way that they separate everyone from what they're doing. Like that's the big. It's going to be very difficult in that aspect, but keep the top up or keep the top on. Then you're going to be able to find some ways to get after Tua Tagovailoa. Their offensive line played probably their best game under Tua and Mike McDaniel. That's not going to happen every single week. It's not. And Chris Jones is going to make some things happen differently for Tua, like having to throw off platform, which he's doing better this year, but it's still not his strength. That's the thing you have to do is move Tua. So you're going to see some different blitzes. You're going to see some looking to get to, L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie off the edge and move Tua where he's uncomfortable throwing. That's what the Chiefs are going to look to do in that game.
I think the thing and we'll talk about this in a few weeks when it comes up, folks, but the big thing for me will be, do they go to a full man match, closed middle, single high safety look so they can go cover three or they can go man at a blink and leave themselves the versatility? Because I think that's the best way to mess with Tua, because not giving away how you're running from that alignment, I think is going to be key. And that way he doesn't know which route is going to hit until it hits. And most likely he will not have time to figure that out. So thank you, Christo. Great question. And that it brings me back to the defense as a whole. And what I wanted to show you guys from statistically, this came up today. And I know you can't see this very well, so I'm going to go zoom it in because I want to make this point very, very clear because I know everyone's going to be very happy to hear me say this. I underestimated George Karloftis. That's the bottom line here. He is still not an edge bender. Is he still a game wrecker? Not quite, but he is improving steadily. His handwork is better this season than it was last season. You can thank Tom Bahali for that. His get off and actually his change of direction once he does meet an in point, particularly to the inside, has been improved. And I think what you see here is the stat of the day. Matt McMullen, kudos to Matt because he put out some pressure stats this morning, and I wanted to kind of reiterate that because it's not Kayvon Thibodeau. It's not where'd he go? Where'd the Jets kid go? Jermaine Johnson, that everybody seems to be very high on, that I think is a total smokehouse of mirrors. It's not Nick Bonito, who I do think is probably the value of this draft pick here.
Yeah.
It's Drake Jackson, it's Aiden Hutchinson, and it's George Karloftis. And this is what's happening. It's 16 pressures. I mean, a good factor above where number 3 is. It's Aiden Hutchinson and George, and that's it. And it doesn't matter that he's not the edge bender that maybe I wanted or you wanted or whatever. It's the fact that he's getting to the quarterback and he's putting that pressure on. He also happens to be, which is something that people don't talk about. If you actually stack this up, yeah, look at that. George Karloftis leading in the sack category for that draft class. Really has come on at this point.
Doesn't give half sacks.
No, they don't.
Let's be remember about this. They give full sacks for everything. So you get a half, and so these numbers are not accurate.
Drake has 2.5 as well, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think so. They both are, and that's why I don't mention it.
I just don't like that they do that.
Yeah, they treat it as though it's combined tackles, and that's, we'll have a longer discussion about how the PFF stats get to where they are. But long story short, if you were going to tell me that you were going to see Thibodeau go and Johnson go, clearly Trayvon Walker not producing the amount of pressure that you want at 6 versus 16 from George Karloftis and a guy that went so high. The Chiefs are getting a lot of value out of George Karloftis right now. And I think that's only going to help FAU come along and continue to win the Benihue. I think we should look for some very, very positive things coming. What are some negatives from the play yesterday that we're overlooking, Dan? Do we still have issues at wide receiver?
I mean, I don't know if we're overlooking them. The inconsistencies in the route running is still there. I mean, Rasheed Rice had an area where he should have kept running his dig route where he missed it, and then it forced him to drop a pass where it should have been a big completion. There's some of that. There's still a little bit of inconsistency with the run game, and that comes down to just the running backs with the vision problem. It's just not always going to be great, but you're going to see some of the areas where they can exploit their actual strengths. On defense, getting heads around finding the football would be nice always, but doesn't always happen that way. You got to get lucky sometimes. There's always going to be some things to improve upon. I thought that the Chiefs were a little bit lackluster in the run department yesterday on run defense. They had some guys get away from them that they shouldn't have. Herbert had a couple of big runs. I mean, Justin Fields is going to have his runs. It's hard to track him down all the time. So the fact that they were able to do what they did with him was a good job. It's more of just staying, key in their run game. And Nick Bolton was missed in that regard, is that he is the guy that comes down and really levels running backs, blockers when he gets ahead of steam. So that was one area he was missed yesterday particularly. But overall, I don't think that the Chiefs played like a bad game or had a ton of negatives. Like, this was a game where they had some incompletions, they had some penalties, but it was a pretty tight-knit game where they got their stuff done. They worked on some things. They came in, got out, and Blaine Gabbert allowed the Bears to score some points. Honestly, like, that's what that was.
I can live with that. I mean, let's be real. If it wasn't for a couple of a tipped pass and another interception that probably shouldn't have happened, Chiefs put up 50 yesterday. It's not very hard to see that. So the takeaways are definitely in the details, but they have to be taken seriously and prepared for the next opponent. I'm with you. Thank you, Jeremy. Christo, if we lose Snead and Jones in the offseason, what's the backup plan? Well, for one, the backup plan is already in town. His name's Trey McDuffie. Other than that, what is the backup plan, Dan?
There isn't a backup plan for no Chris Jones. There isn't one, because you can't just draft them. This is going to be a different shift on defense that we're seeing. It'll be trying to possibly trade up in the draft to get if that's possible. It wouldn't shock me if that was something they ended up having to do, but it might see them trade up in the draft to go get a difference maker at edge or defense tackle. I know that they just drafted 2 defensive ends in the first round, but there's a realistic possibility that maybe GK is your 3-tech of the future. I don't know. That's a possibility worth considering if you don't have Chris Jones, but they've also done a great job of, maybe Charles Omeni, who's the guy. That's that. It's not going to be Chris Jones, but it'll be something different. So they will morph to what they have to. I think the defense has shown that they can do that when they have to.
And I think everybody that they have on the defensive front, even when it comes down to Coburn and Farrell, however we're calling his name, they all have enough versatility. They can play 3-tech, they can play 5-tech. Like, there's enough there that you could make the switch. And all joking aside, I do think that's a viable option for next season, particularly on what Spags decides to do. Chiefs win another Super Bowl, they might find that their defense coordinator retires. I don't know. It's within the realm of possibility. Who knows? Christo, great question. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate
Hunter, is La'el Collins a good sign for the Chiefs for some tackle depth? I don't know. I kind of feel like he'd be assigned somewhere. Is he still out there? Like, there's a reason.
He was recovering from an injury, and then he got cut from the Bengals. He just passed his physical today, so he can now sign with whatever team. So, my opinion, yes, he'd be good tackle depth to sign. Don't count on him being a starter for you. Just don't.
Yeah, I agree there. Like, somebody would have snatched him up if they felt that he had that kind of evaluation. So, but hey, at this point, this is why we always talk about having that bottom, at least 5 million in cap space at all times, so you can do things like that when something pops up. So let's see what they get into. Mikey, looking forward to the team building off of this win and keeping this production going. How about you guys? P.S. You guys rock. Thanks, Mikey. Appreciate you. Yeah, like this is like the ball of confidence that especially young guys, second year guys can go back to over and over and over when things get hard later in the season. I hope that it gels them together, and good Lord, when Many who gets back, I feel really good about where they are.
Yeah, this was a game that they needed to have. They needed to come out and dominate a bad team. They did that. That should help everyone's confidence, saying, hey, we're in the right spot. We did everything we needed to in that game. Let's move forward now and continue to build off of what they just did.
I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again here instead of on Locked On Chiefs. This is what we should expect. Andy, if you're pissed off or you let it run up because of the calls on the tackle, fine, keep that edge. This was what we should see every damn week. Unless you're playing the Bengals or playing the Bills or playing the Niners or Eagles, you should be doing this consistently. It should not be a rarity.
Agreed.
Pretty awesome to start the defense, not give up any touchdowns for the last 2 weeks. Yeah, that is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I had my fingers crossed for the shutout. I mean, you don't see that stuff often, so.
Yeah, it's tough.
But yes.
You always want to see it, but at the end of the day, I think it was always going to happen. So it is what it is.
You're right. Do you agree with spread the ball around to any receiver not named Travis Kelce philosophy? I like it in theory, but I feel like it could also be lowering Sky and Rasheed's ceiling. I actually don't. I think you got to get Rasheed to dial it down a little bit. Use his hands a little bit more. We've seen him do it at times in college, but the letting into his pad things pisses me off. Get it out of his system now, because post-bye, I need him to hit on all cylinders because I think he can play a much bigger role than Sky did last year.
Yeah, for me, it's just about the timing of him. Like, he needs to speed up his process a little bit. He's thinking too much, and you can tell by the way he's playing football. Like, he's just playing very, very fast, very, very fast. And his brain is going 1,000 miles a minute. Like, his play speed after he catches the ball, it's like, okay, there's the explosion. Before that, there's a lot of thinking. There's a lot of thinking going on. So I think when that time's up and it gets to where he's just moving and adjusting, it'll be a whole different game for him.
Yeah. FLDB, welcome in, folks. The mods are here. Gary's in here, I believe, as is
What's
FLDB.
up?
You can thank FLDB for the function of the Discord as well as Stevie Keys. They man that really, really well. And you guys want to check that out. You just got to join the memberships to get in there. Super, super simple. So welcome. Kevin, how can the coach of the year, Kevin Stefanski, steal our tight end snap play and execute 2 first downs and we get stuffed? Take it if you want, Dan, because I'm going to say something rude about somebody.
It's the way that their offense is built. I'm not trying to diminish what the Chiefs do. That offensive line in Cleveland gets off the ball and they hit people in the mouth. For whatever reason, in short area, the ability to do so is not always met in Kansas City. We'll put it that way.
I agree. There's a little bit of finesse still that creeps in too often for me. Gary, speaking of Gary, Dan and I are tired of the refs calling offsides every tackle does it. You're absolutely right, Gary. And I hope that we've seen the turning of the tide now that Andy's been calling it out 2 days in a row.
Hope so.
Let's see. Jacob, non-Chiefs question. Do you guys think that Shiloh is a draftable prospect? Shiloh, who? I don't know who that is. Okay. Come back to us, Jacob. Hit us in the chat with the full name and I'll give you an idea. I don't recall a Shiloh on my preseason list. I am just starting to get some film, so I haven't really got into it yet. Which, by the way, if you're not subbed on NFL 33 and you're a draft, Nick, go sub now, because I have a behind the paywall piece coming out this week on the QB play as well as the pressures. They are all coming. I'm starting to get the stats figured out for this season. I know it's young, but it's coming. So, and we'll come back to you, Jacob.
All right. So he's talking about Shiloh Sanders.
Oh, Shiloh. Well, I thought he's just a third year out of high school, right? So he should have
was at
plenty of
Jackson
time.
State.
2 years, right? This is his third season out of high school.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, that's my thought too. I would say right now, unless he becomes like just a big play monster, which you never know, he could. He's got his dad's blood. I would say give him another season. I think what you saw this last weekend, no offense to you Buff fans, and I'm all for Dion and all this stuff, but you got to back up the crap that you talk, and they ran out of juice. So let's see if they can get it back.
Don't disagree with anything you said.
Okay. Rock and roll. I know there's Bus fans that are going to give me hell. That's all right. I'll be down in town tomorrow. We can talk one-on-one. I get accosted in every bar that I go into anyway, so we might as well keep it rolling. Thundarius, hope you're doing well, buddy. Hope you're feeling good. I head to Rochester Saturday, start radiation on Monday. Good for you. I'm glad to hear it. So everybody up in Minnesota, say hi to Mayo for me. I'm looking forward to hitting a sports bar in KC gear when we play Minnesota. 6 weeks of treatment ahead. Well, I got my fingers crossed for you, buddy. I know you can handle it. I hope that it works again. Just keep zapping it until it goes away. And I am working. I have a unique situation through a vendor of mine that might be able to get me into a suite for that ball game. I just have to go to Minnesota to do it. So if I do, I'll meet you in the parking lot, Darius. I'll let you know. Cheers, buddy. Quinn, how long until we see Rasheed being a full-time player, at least 60 or 70% of the snaps? He reminds me a lot of Dwayne Bowe, by the way. Oh, I like that comparison. Just hopefully with a lot more explosion, because I think he has it, to be honest. When do you think he hits that threshold? When do you think he's reliable enough to get that?
After the bye. I think you'll probably see him play up a bit more. I think that right now we have to assume that Kadarius Toney is just not, his body's not built to handle an NFL workload. Like, it's just not built to handle that. And the best receivers that they have in terms of what fits their offensive structure are MVS, Sky Moore, and Rasheed Rice, mixing in Justin Watson and Kadarius Toney from time to time. I think that's what should be the quote-unquote starting three wide receivers. You know, Watson's going to play a little bit more than people want him to, but he's done a great job this year. So honestly, he's earned his role in this offense. So that's just going to be what it is. But I think after the bye, you'll see him play more.
So obviously there was I think there were 70 total offensive plays in this last ball game. Really nice development. Rasheed played 39 of them.
Yeah.
So that's pretty significant already. That's pushing 60% now. Of the units that were out there with the starters before Mahomes came out, et cetera, Sky Moore played 50 snaps. He got the most of any wide receiver. So Rasheed's already at 80% of the guy who's getting the most snaps at the wide receiver spot in a given ball game. That's a great sign, to tell you the truth. It means that he's already chewing away on that percentage. So Quinn, 60, 70% in a ball game, I think that's achievable here pretty quick. Certainly by the bye. Marshall, it's good looking fish. Hope you're doing well, buddy. KD disappeared after his only target got blown up on the wide receiver screen. No injury update. Precautionary. Do you expect his usage will increase after the bye? Thank you for the support as always, pal. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, my guess is there's one of two things. Either he got shook by that a little bit and realized he's really not ready, or they're just like, you know what? We're not going to need him anyway. Let's not take any chances.
That's exactly what I felt. They brought him in, and then after that, they started steamrolling him, and he was already coming in because a game time decision. No reason to risk it further.
Agreed. Chiefs Live, hope you're well. Thoughts on Joshua Williams so far this season? Go ahead, Dan.
He's played pretty well. Yeah, I think he's played pretty well. I thought that he's earned this, the quote unquote starting outside wide receiver or cornerback 2 spot. And they've mixed in Jalen Watson because this is what they do. They get all their guys playing. But I think Josh Williams has done a really good job of just being in comfortable positions. He's not overexerting himself, and he doesn't seem to feel out of place like he did sometimes last year where he was getting beat by double moves and not necessarily always seeing some of the routes unfold in front of him. I think he's done a better job of seeing those and kind of taking to task with the rest of the defense, raising their level of play. He's done the same.
Agreed. I mean, if you just take a look at like PBUs, right? He got one yesterday.
Yeah.
On 7 targets so far this season. So percentage-wise, he's double of where Trent McDuffie is because he has a PBU. He should have 3 by my counting, but that's fine. So you're not seeing that from L'Jarius right now. L'Jarius, I still feel, is catching up, whereas Josh, I think, is actually playing up to his role.
Agreed.
And Jalen, I don't know. Some days I like Jalen. Some days I want to just.
Yeah, he's a little.
Jalen's lucky I'm not coaching. Let's just put it that way. Robert, if one of the top 3 OT fall to pick 10, do you think we might have the same draft capital as we did for Mahomes, first and a third to move up? Possibly. I will tell you this. So far, I don't see the dominance that I was hoping to see from the tackle class as a whole, either Penn State, Notre Dame, Utah, whoever you're looking at. I don't know how you feel, Dan, or if you've watched much yet.
They haven't. But it feels like they haven't improved a ton from last year. Like I'm watching the same guys that I watched last year, which they're good players then, but they're not all going top 10 right now, in my opinion. Right. There's still a lot of time left. There's still a lot of football to be played, and college is weird. The first 4 weeks of the season, typically, there's a feeling out process, and when they get into the meat of their schedule, you see them elevate their play. So when Penn State comes up against some of the Michigan, Ohio State, some of the meat of their competition, we're going to get to see these guys at their best. So going to wait until that comes in to really make a decision about how these guys are going to end up being, how good they're going to end up being, and where the Chiefs might be able to get one of them, if that's possible.
I agree. I mean, right now let's be real. My quarterback stats are going to come out later in the week. There's 8 or 10 guys right now that you could say could be first round picks. That's crazy, especially when you look back at the Pickett class. I mean, what a turnaround, right? Wide receivers are making some noise, that kind of thing. Dan's chuckling, so that means there must be a good comment coming here. I think we'll get to that in a minute.
You already started. That was just.
Oh, okay, good. Mr. Big Phil, hope you're doing well. How good can Darius Rush be if he can break through the starting secondary? Did he make it back to the practice squad?
He is on the practice squad, yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I had Darius with a ton of upside. He needs some coaching, though. And this, I think, is going to be the tough part. They have such a stack. The fact that Najee Johnson isn't in there is a boon for him right now. Yeah. He's got the body and the length and the stuff that they like. So I just don't know. I didn't get a chance to ever speak to him in the draft process. I don't know how quickly he can pick up playbooks. If he can do that, he's going to be a starter by year 3. I'll tell you that.
I don't know. I don't think so.
No?
It's logged. Najee Johnson was the starter. Let's not forget this. Najee Johnson was on track to be the starter, out playing Jalen Watson and Josh Williams. Let's not forget that. And if he keeps that up, we're talking about McDuffie, Watson, Williams, and then Johnson that all have experience. And that's assuming that L'Jarius Dean's not here. If he's still in Kansas City, that's 5 quarters.
Then it's over.
Then it's over.
Yeah, and Nick Jones is going to fight him off as well.
That too.
Yeah. I'm assuming L'Jarius is gone. And honestly, I'm assuming that if Jalen doesn't keep up with Josh right now, there's going to be opportunity there. So we will see.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate your question as always, buddy. Sean, got you in here before, so glad that worked, Sean. Tyler, rumor is Andy put Prime out there to line up. Oh, Prince. Yeah, that's the rumor. haven't had that confirmed by anybody inside the organization.
I doubt Andy will confirm any of that. That was my misspeak earlier. It was not from Andy Reid. It was a source close to, but no one will confirm that. Yeah. Nobody will.
So you might as well roll with it as an option anyway, because we're never going to really know. But yeah. I certainly would have tried it because they weren't calling Donovan, and I have to say, at least on 2 snaps. And let me tell you the truth. From the broadcast perspective, if they're not between the 35 and the 45 on that side of the field, it's very hard to get a realistic view on the broadcast. You got to go back and see the wider angle from the 22, and I will do that. But I have to say that it looked like Donovan was just as far off the line at times as Juwan was. So
he was.
It makes sense to give it a shot.
Yeah, he absolutely was.
I got to tell you guys the truth, though. And Dan, you tell me if I'm just an idiot in your opinion. I think that's all bull. I think they were pissed and they were tired of him. And I think he got pulled to be told, knock this shit off and figure your stuff out. They're going to call you, so make your adjustment. That's what it feels like to me. That's what would have happened in my world if I were there. So tell me I'm crazy.
I think you're crazy. I know that part of you wants to believe it. I'm pretty confident based off what I've seen already in the film that they were asking Donovan Smith to line up back because he was on par with Taylor at least 6 or 7 times by my count, at least. Okay. And then he never got called for it. So I don't know, man. This is a whole different situation that we don't have facts, but it's not something that I'm interested in seeing happen any further. I can tell you that.
Oh, I agree with you. And that's the interesting thing, folks. Dan and I can watch the same thing. And from our points of view, we can have completely different interpretations. And that's true for every broadcaster, every radio analyst, everybody. So don't worry about it. And that's just opinions. Is Rice going to be a guy? He looks sudden. Yeah, I think he will. Just got to lock down some of the details. I think Dan was high on him really, really early, and you were right. And I'm feeling better and better about it. I do like the thickness of him in contact, and I like the fact that he can carry that.
Just go back to the draft show, guys. Watch on day 2. We're like, yeah, it's a little high for him, but I went back and I watched his tape from his junior year. The explosiveness was there. I said that. Remember this. I did say that. So it's all there. It's translating. The testing matches now the film, and I think he's going to be a guy that, again, when he mentally catches up and is there, he's going to take off in this offense.
I have to think so. And for those of you who haven't seen the draft show, please do go back and watch live from Shawnee, Kansas. We were on for I don't know, 1,000 hours or something that weekend.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. First time Dan and I have been in studio together. It was kind of fun. So
it was awesome.
Please do go check it out. Stevie Keys, our resident master. How are you, buddy? And thank you again.
Thank you, Stevie.
Should we, as fans, best measure progress and success in regards to the young wide receivers throughout the season? Stats, and if so, which? Usage numbers, meaning snaps played, routes run, or technical things like how well they run the routes, the timing, and the little details in terms of stacking DBs, understanding where the zone pressure is, and those kind of things. I'll tell you what I think, Dan. What do you think?
I think it's usage. Everything that you can take away from how the coaching staff feels about these players is how they're being used. All of that, that's really what you should take away as fans. When you're watching this, it's not always even apparent to us exactly where they should be breaking their routes, where they should be going to, whether they should be stopping here or not. But there's one thing we can all see. How often are you playing? And in what kind of situations are they trusting you to play in? These are things that you can watch and see, and that's what your main takeaway should be, in my opinion.
I can hear what you're putting down, Stevie. I would say all of that plus all of it, all the little things, everything that goes into it, because you might find a strength in one area versus a weakness in another that can allow you to utilize that to exploit a defense. And that's honestly what it comes down to for me. So it's exhausting, but I'd do it all. You got to.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stevie.
I get it.
With the defense playing so well, how do the Chiefs get Charles Menahue up to speed? Not going to be a problem. I'm pretty sure he's chomping at the bit, especially now that Jones is back and Eaton. When they get those two guys next to each other, I think the guys that are going to be happiest are going to be the edges, because you might see double doubles. And I just saw my icon pop up. So we're going to enter the speed round right now, folks, because I clearly am well
It's
behind.
me too. It's me too. I've been talking everyone's ear off tonight.
Andrew, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your support. I'm watching the Eagles and Bucks game right now. Tristan Wirfs has lined up too far behind what seems like every single down. I haven't been able to see it, but I do believe you. I like Wirfs, and he's another athletic guy, but you take every advantage that you can until they call it. My bigger thing is that they're supposed to be giving a warning. We haven't heard about them giving a warning yet on the field. And you're supposed to do that before you throw the flag. So figure your stuff out too, refs. Everybody else, take a breath. Just figure it out. I'm just fed up. I'm just fed up. Chiefs comments: in recent years have suggested drafting a tight end as high as a Kelce replacement. Do you think they try to recreate TK as the best they can with the tight end, or do they go for more of a true wide receiver one? Andy Reid will always have a tight end that he feels can exploit a defense. Are you going to get another Travis Kelce? I don't think so. But I do think they will try to replace him as somebody that can be a weapon in this offense.
Yeah, it's more about, like you said, finding how they want to go. Like right now, Travis Kelce's here. So guess what? We're going to target him a bunch. Just do whatever we have to do. And then if and when that happens later in his career, how they'll adjust to what they have. Like it'll be different. I think they will look to add more of a guy, but at the end of the day, players that are drafted to this system are here because they trust their ability to do what the staff believes that they can develop into. Didn't work out with Cole Hardman, and now you've got a different youth movement happening in Kansas City. So we'll see how that plays out before we get too far down the road there.
Yeah, agree. Chiefs fan, glad you made it though, buddy. I know it's 27 or 28 minutes since you put that in. So cheers. Sorry, I'm running late. Ashley, hey guys, great show. Thought if Fields is a free agent, how about bring him in as PM's backup next year? I got to tell you, I don't think that'll work. I think someone's either going to resurrect him or he's going to be out of football. I don't think he'll survive as a backup.
I think it depends on the system, but he's mentally not going to want to be a backup. And again, unless you can get him to buy in here as the backup to Patrick Mahomes, it's just not going to work. You have to get assurances that you're not going to break this guy's spirit essentially by making him a backup. Like that's the problem. He's an alpha. He wants to be the quarterback. I just don't know how he takes to a backup role.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that would rather walk away myself. And that's just from a brief chat that I had with him when he was coming out too. Just the vibe that I got from him. So I agree. He definitely feels he's an alpha. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Jacob, can we possibly be the number one defense in the NFL realistically? I'm going to tell you no.
Yeah, no.
It would have to be a perfect scenario. And quite honestly, you need Burrow not to play. You need probably Allen not to play.
Let's just look at the defenses. Cleveland is one of the best defenses in the NFL. Like they might be the best defense in the NFL right now. Dallas is still there. The Patriots are a real defense. The Jets defense is for real. The Chiefs are not even really close there yet, in my opinion, to those defenses. They still got a lot of work to do. And showing against better, let's face it, better quarterbacks. They got to prove that.
Yeah. You're not wrong. What do you think of Gabbert?
Looked a little rusty, but I mean, it's Blaine. I'm not super worried about it. When it matters, I don't think he'll make those decisions.
Yeah, agreed. I think that you need to knock that off, and he'll get right. When the offense is coming off the field, is Nagy or wide receiver coach the one viewing the plays with our young wide receivers? Nagy's sitting next to Patrick every single time. So it's going to be who is it now? It's not Girardi, right? He's the assistant QB coach. Who is it?
I forget who the wide receivers coach
Jay? Is it Blameyer? I can't remember.
Yes, it is. It is Blameyer. Yes.
And I think Connor Embry is kind of like floating around back and forth. So you're getting a couple of voices there. There are a lot of them, so you need a couple of coaches to be truthful. But those are the guys that are going to be making that. Sorry. School board is calling me, evidently. A lot to talk about the Dolphins' offense, deservedly so, but how are they on the other side of the ball? Their defense is okay. And honestly, just like last season, this is exactly what happened in Miami. People
Yeah.
watched film and they figured them out. So I ain't too scared.
No, they're still going to get better, I think, because that's just the nature of one defense and their defensive coordinator and the players that they have. But I think that they can be scored on. I think they can be scored on.
Yeah, I agree. Corbin, love you, y'all, but feel like you guys give Sky a million excuses that you never give Rice, McCall, or Ross. Okay. I mean, I guess that's fair. Maybe it's because I'm reacting to the hype. Nobody thinks that that Sky's going to be an all world like Ross, and I just try to temper everybody's expectations. I think I don't think we make excuses for Rice. I think we're both pretty high on him. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm pretty comfortable. He's played 3 NFL games. Like we don't have much of a soundboard yet for Rasheed Rice. Just drops. And like I was just talking about earlier about Rice, about how when he speeds up mentally, I think could be fine and then be good. But I mean, it's tough with Ross. Like we have nothing, and the Chiefs aren't playing him enough that we can actually get a good idea of the player that he is. And Sky they admitted that they took a bunch of information and threw it at Sky last year. We haven't got anything else from any of these other players. So we're just kind of working with what we got here. But I understand that sometimes it may seem like we just give some players excuses, which we probably do. Won't lie.
Yeah, we all have biases. I still think fullback should be on every team. It's my own problem. Do you guys think we have enough speed to cover the other teams with our secondary? You do?
This is one of the fastest defenses in the NFL, in my opinion. I think it's young. They're extremely fast in terms of click and close and things like that. They get downhill quickly. They don't let up a ton of big plays. They really don't. And when you consider about that, they get downhill quickly. I do believe that they have the speed to keep up with some of these teams. Miami will challenge them for sure, but I think everywhere else, I think that they are ahead in the speed game.
I think the only thing I'm going to warn you about is that the best cover corner they have right now is not their fastest. And so if I'm going to attack Trent McDuffie, I'm going to send speed at him. I'm going to put Waddle and Tyreek on him, and I'm going to make him make a decision. I feel he has the mental acuity to do that correctly. I worry that the staff and Spags is going to be over aggressive and put him in a man situation against Tyreek where he does not have the speed to do that. So, yes, everybody but like the elite speed guys. Yeah, I think they're just fine.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I skipped one for Greg. Do you guys believe we can run the ball effectively against the Jets D? Got to get out to the edges. I ain't running. I don't think you're going to be successful. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be successful inside.
No, I don't think so. You got to hope you can get a couple of fast ones on them. Honestly, that's what this is going to be. Maybe get them into a couple of draw plays, get them upfield. Might be able to get them that way.
Last week, I would do that over and over. I was so happy. Like I typed 17,000 exclamation points when they threw the pitch. Like just keep running that and get to the edge as fast as you can. I love that concept. Cody, any thoughts on a needed or trade or signing before the deadline? Karloftis is still out, wide receiver options. I don't think there's much on wide receiver options anymore. Carlos is still out there. Let's see what they look like when Omenihu gets back, though, because I don't know. Right now, you're getting pretty solid play from your edges, including Mike Dana. So I don't know.
Yeah, they don't. I don't think they need to.
What do they got? 3.4 in cap space. That ain't much. I don't know if Carlos is going to sign for that. He might just stay in the restaurant. Who do you think is going to be the odd man out when Omenihu's suspension is over and he's back? I think it'll be Dickerson myself.
Yeah, it's him or it's Herring. Depends on how many bodies they want to rotate at defensive end compared to defensive tackle.
Fair enough. Why is that every year the refs have some new inconsistency in the way that they referee a game? This lineup of OTs and quick get-offs are crazy inconsistent and needs to be addressed by the NFL. I agree with you, and I'll tell you why, and it's because they're human. They get directives and they try to do the best they can, but honestly, it's overthinking. It's watching one player too much. You know what I mean?
They're not full-time.
Right? Yeah.
Their
I think that
jobs
would
are not
change
to
the
do this
game.
all year round. They
Yeah.
don't have to study it from the end of the football season to the next one. I have so many different things I could say about this, but I won't.
I think you should become a ref myself. I'm just telling
No, I'm good.
you. Last week, Dan was given a Brosif moniker from Dan. Yes, we like that one. But now, after another good game, is on the scale of guy to dude, where is he at? Closer to dude than last week? Or is he a Brohim now?
I think we're going Brohan. I'm a big Brohan guy for Mike Dana right now. We're seeing this happening right here. You know, like I'm a big fan of what's happening with my guys. So I had nothing but smiles from me about what Mike Dana is doing right now in Kansas City.
You are not wrong. I am totally with you. Will the defense feast against the Jets? Chris Jones certainly is going to. And that's just my takeaway. I'm just telling you. I've been looking at stuff.
I fear for Zach Wilson's life.
And I don't like him that much, so I don't care.
Yeah, I think Spags is going to have a field day mixing stuff up, and their offensive line, man, it's still bad.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Laken Tomlinson is a viable left guard.
Yeah,
but his feet are not quick. And Chris Jones is gonna wreck him. So I ain't scared.
Should be fun.
I'll say it that way. Holly, sorry we missed you there, lady.
Sorry,
we'll
Holly.
circle back. Maybe we'll do it again for the next draft. I don't know. Do you guys think that Jody Fortson is done with football, or do you think that he can ever stay healthy? I think he'll be back, but I don't know that he'll ever play a full season.
I just don't. 3 season-ending injuries that he's had, right? 2 or 3. That's typically what it is. And just like him, Rashad Bateman might be done. Literally, never really got to get going. He was a fantastic prospect. He looks toast, and he's hurt again.
Did he get hurt yesterday too?
He got hurt. He got hurt again. Just sometimes, man, injuries are just. We all wish we could turn them off like Madden. Just turn them off, please.
Yeah, right. Man, what a day that would be. Thanks, Phil. Stevie, how would you defend Philly's QB scrum play?
Hope.
I'd diamond it. I would put Danny Shelton about half a yard off, right over the nose, shoot both A gaps, and let the linebackers fill the B's like they're coming shot out of a bullet train. That's what I would do. There are ways to stop it. It's just that you open yourself up for play action, and you can't defend that when you do. So
exactly.
It's a mixed bag.
You have to. You just kind of got to get lucky. You have to put the biggest players that you have in gaps, because that's what a quarterback is looking for. They're looking to get off on a gap. He's not even trying to go straight forward. He goes off to the side. So you have to slice through, put linebackers in those gaps too, and you got to get lucky. You got to get lucky. Otherwise, you're falling for a yard. Like, that's what's happening.
And the triangle is basically the top guys take out overheads, and the guy behind is basically used like a blitzing linebacker. But if he happens to be 340 pounds, you're not going to get any momentum that way. So you can take out a center and negate that blast. That's what I would do. Ryan, Dan, do you see Russell Wilson stay in Denver or be let go? I think he's out of there.
I might be on a hill with this. I think Russell's played pretty well this season, to be very honest, given their scenario, learning a new system. Again, I think that Sean Payton's done a pretty good job with the offense, but Vance Joseph is one of the worst. I mean this, the worst defensive minds coordinators in the NFL. I don't know what is going on there, but if their defense, with all the talent that they have there, who, again, they're not much different than the defense we saw last year, talent-wise. They have a lot of the same players. They just let up 70 points, and they haven't been very good this year. So there's a schematic problem with that defense, and that falls on Sean Payton for bringing in Vance Joseph. It does. But personally, when I watch the Broncos play offense, I don't think Russell's been that bad. He's been better than he was last year by a mile, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I still question some decisions he makes, though.
I do too, but I think that Sean's taking this as a year. Like, he's just trying to figure stuff out.
Okay, fair enough. We're going to wrap it up here with Cody's comment. Worries about the offense versus the Jets. Do you? I think they can ride this. I think they will be a formidable challenge, but I'm not worried so much. Do they put up 45? No, but I think they can put up 20 from.
Y'all, in my opinion, you got to get to 20. I think the Chiefs can put 20 points on this defense. I don't think Zach Wilson can put 10 on this defense. I don't think he can. Get to 20.
I'm with you.
Salt it away.
Yep. All are done. I think I would probably do the exact same thing. So, hey, we're going to wrap it up, you guys. Thank you for all of your super chats tonight, for all of your
guys so much
recognition. If you want more detail, if you want my notes from the last game and from every game, they're going to be available starting tomorrow for this last week to the members that are rookie level and above. Go join and just hit that up, and you'll get a message in the community tab. And you guys can use that as well. You can communicate back and forth with me, with everybody else. You can get in the Discord with Stevie and FLDB and all the folks. That's a lot of fun. I'm also going to give you where I'm at this week. Hopefully I get time to record that here later in the week and just give you the lowdown on where I stand on a couple of things. But if you want to help us, you can get gear. I forgot to mention that before. Dan's hat, my hat, all the gear, you can get it in the store. You can help us by going to DraftKings and using our code. It is just RGR. It's the only way I can remember it, so I tried to make it easy. So appreciate you guys. Thank you for being with us. Go enjoy Monday Night Football, and we'll be back with you live on Friday night. In between, we're going to have film. We're going to have stats. We're going to have Seth. We have it all coming. So thank you for your time. Dan, thanks for giving us a little break, and say hi to Avery for me.
Always, guys. No problem. You guys have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you next time.